This is the first live recording that I'm doing on YouTube, and I'm trying to see if I can watch the live recording here on my iPad. What I'm going to be talking today about is Bernie Sanders, his heart attack, his treatment with stents, and mainstream medicine's advice of cholesterol reduction and statins. So the real question that I'd like to have is that, are these important things for us to talk about? So when somebody comes in with a heart attack, what's happening is that the blood vessel that is supplying the heart muscle is blocked, either with plaque or a blood clot or both. And as shown here in purple, this area of the heart has reduced blood flow. And because of reduced blood flow, that heart muscle gets damaged. And the question is that using stents will reduce this damage, and that has been shown quite effectively. And in my clinical experience, I have been an interventional cardiologist for 30 years, and I come across patients like this on a day-to-day basis. And yesterday I had this patient who is a young man who came in having a heart attack, and shown here on the left panel, his blood vessel supplying the heart muscle was blocked. And we treated that by placing a stent in these two locations. We normalized the blood flow, and we reduced his damage to the heart muscle. And I'm hoping that Bernie fell in this category. I hope he presented without significant damage to the heart muscle, and that his blood vessel was opened up without him suffering significant damage, so that his quality of life is maintained. Now, after this event, the advice from mainstream cardiologists to people would be the following: change your diet, go to a low-fat, healthy, whole grain, plant-based diet. What that means is no eggs, no animal fat, that is saturated fat, no butter, no cheese. And if you want to learn more about whether this is correct advice or no, I urge you guys to come to Low Carb Houston. So if you go to the website lowcarbhouston.com, the program is in less than 2 weeks, October 24th to 26th. There are still tickets available. I'd like you to come and be a part of it and learn more about the nutrition that low carb proponents are going to talk about from a standpoint of science. But for this particular live YouTube transmission, I would like to discuss the statins, their benefits and their risks. And specifically today I'm going to focus a little bit more on the risks. The benefits and the degree of benefit will be talked about extensively from both statin proponents as well as statin skeptics at Low Carb Houston. The reason this is important, and the reason why I'd like to drag Bernie into this, it might be a little bit unfair, is because there is the potential that statins can impair Bernie's performance in a presidential debate. Statins can impair memory and cognition. They can create a degree of mental fog, mental fatigue. And if these are altered in Bernie Sanders, I'd like him to understand whether this is a side effect of medicines or it is as a result of a stressful campaign. So how do we translate this information so that the general public can understand? Out here is shown a brain cell, specifically a brain membrane. And if you look at these yellow areas, these are cholesterol-rich domains of the membrane. These are called lipid rafts. And these lipid rafts provide the structural integrity for the membrane to have these receptors. These are neuroreceptors, and on this, neurotransmitters sit so that signaling between brain cells can happen. So memory, cognition, thinking is dependent on cholesterol providing the integrity to our brain so that these important functions can occur. Now here is on the left panel shown a membrane that is adequate in cholesterol. These are the lipid rafts, and the receptors are sitting in proper orientation. Out here is a cholesterol depleted membrane in which the receptors are not sitting properly and are not able to carry out their functions. So the question that comes about is that, is this just biochemical information, or is there any clinical validity to this information? So what I'd like to do is to use the Lothian birth cohort. This was a study that was done in Edinburgh, Scotland. About 1,000 people who were born in 1936 were looked at in 2010 when they were about 70 years of age. And the goal was to look at cognitive function as it related to their cholesterol as well as the use of statins. So in these 1,000 people, the cholesterol was divided into low cholesterol, which is 200 and below, middle cholesterol, which was 200 to 250, and high cholesterol, which was greater than 250. So in this group, memory was evaluated, processing speed, and general mental ability was evaluated. And the people with the best memory skills, with the best processing speed, were people in the highest cholesterol category compared to the people in the lowest cholesterol category. About 300 out of the 1,000 Lothian birth cohort individuals were on statins, 700 were not. When you compared the memory skills, the cognitive ability, the processing speed of the individuals who were on statins compared to those who were not on statins, being on statins significantly reduced their cognitive skills and their memory compared to the non-statin users. So I hope that if Mr. Sanders' memory is being affected, or if his cognitive skills are in decline, he realizes that this could be a potential side effect of medications. Now, another important aspect that I would like to cover as far as Bernie Sanders is concerned is muscle function. Now, Bernie is 78 years of age. Older individuals have a lower muscle mass, and statins can have an adverse effect on your muscle function. What I'd like to point out in this slide is a substance called CoQ10. Now, CoQ10 is a cholesterol byproduct. When you stop cholesterol production with the use of statins, you also reduce CoQ10 production. Now, CoQ10 is like a spark plug for our muscles. If an engine does not have a spark plug, it cannot burn fuel. Similarly, our muscles have an engine which is called the mitochondria. And if the mitochondria are depleted of CoQ10, they cannot burn fuel. So out here is shown the chemical machinery that a mitochondria has to convert fuel, which is sugar and proteins and fat, to energy currency, which is called ATP, as shown here in this GIF version. In order to produce this energy currency, the sugar molecules are taken through a series of chemical reactions that involves CoQ10. And like I pointed out, statins not only reduce CoQ10, but perhaps function as mitochondrial toxins and reduce the energy production by the mitochondria. So a group of researchers out here in Texas, Tyler, Texas, Dr. Peters, Lance Joan, they took 10 individuals who were on a statin called simvastatin and compared them to 9 equally matched controls. And they did a muscle biopsy on them to compare various aspects of muscle function, and also looked at a few other parameters. So in this slide is shown a blue line, and this blue line represents the control individuals. When compared to the control individuals, the individuals who were on statins had a higher blood pressure, had higher sugar levels, had lower levels of CoQ10, which as we mentioned is a cholesterol byproduct, had lower levels of oxidative damage preventing enzymes, had lower energy generation, their ATP levels were lower, and in addition, as you will learn at Low Carb Houston, they had evidence of insulin not functioning properly and had insulin resistance. Now they took their information a little further and evaluated 328 patients who were on statins who had presented to their clinic for the first time. And of these, about 50 individuals had evidence of side effects from the use of statins, such as myopathy, which is muscle weakness, memory issues. And when they stopped the statin about a year later, they found that there was a significant improvement in muscle function as well as memory. Now 28 of these 50 individuals had an echocardiogram that measures heart muscle function, which is measuring the pumping capacity of the heart with an ultrasound examination. And of these 28 patients, 50 of them, which had initially shown a reduction in heart muscle function, 50% showed an improvement. The other 50% did not. What that indicates is that if you have statin-induced dysfunction of your skeletal muscle, which helps you move, or your heart muscle, which helps pump blood out of the heart, there is not a given that when you stop these drugs, everybody's heart muscle function will improve. So how is this important? Mr. Sanders is 78 years of age, and we hope that Senator Sanders, who I admire a lot because of his work on social justice issues, will become President Sanders and will affect healthcare policy that will improve the health of individuals around the world. But since he is in his 70s, and as we get older, our muscle mass is reduced, it's possible that Senator Sanders may not have the same vigor because of myopathy issues as a result of statins, and he may not show the vitality and may look tired. So I hope that he's listening to this video and is able to figure out whether his changes are as a result of statins or as a result of the stress from the campaign. Now, if you want to learn more about what I'm talking about, please come to Low Carb Houston. If you put lowcarbhouston.com, you will realize that the program is on October 24th to 26th. Or you can watch these two YouTube videos. The first one on the left panel was a talk I gave at Denver, at Low Carb Denver, about the benefits of having high cholesterol, especially focusing on high good quality cholesterol. And the one on the right was at the Keto Berg Summit, which talked about the potential side effects and benefits of statins. So this was my first foray into live transmission. I hope you liked it. I'm just going to pause here for a minute and look at my people who are recording it to see if there were any burning questions anybody asked that I should try to cover. If you liked my video, give a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell icon in case I load new videos that you would get information that a video is up. I'd also like to tell that we have a Facebook group which is called Eat Mostly Fats, and I'd like you to become a member of that. My people, Melissa runs that, and it's a very useful site, and it'll give you all kinds of information about Low Carb Houston, about upcoming programs. I'd also like to say that every month, on the last Wednesday of the month at Clear Lake Hospital where I practice in the Cersei Auditorium, I do a support group in which we talk about low carb diets, about the benefits of intermittent fasting, animal sourced food, and various other aspects of nutrition and lifestyle to improve one's health rather than relying on medications and the medical industry.